Welcome back.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, thank you guys for keeping the show going.
Good to see you.
Who's going to open the show?
What do you mean? I'm opening the show.
No, I think we should give Doc a chance to open the show.
I can do it.
Well, what about me? I've been here technically the longest now.
No way. This is my show. You guys are all guests.
What's going on here?
Oh, yeah? Is that how you want to do it? Put the gun down.
No.
Put it down.
A blast.
I'll let Doc do it.
All right, go ahead, Doc.
I did that. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, I get that.
Oh.
What episode is this?
Welcome back to SOS VHS. Today we have Quentin Tarantino's second feature film, Reservoir Dogs, starring Harvey Keitel, Tim Roth, Sean Penn's brother, Michael Madsen, and a bunch of other people. The cop that got his ear cut off. A lot of people. Some of it was filmed at the Sundance Institute. The rest on location in Los Angeles. Welcome to SOS VHS.
It's a second feature film?
Yes, the first one was my best friend's wedding. Or
But
my
it
best
was-
friend's birthday.
It was never finished. So
I thought it was finished, but it never came
It
out.
was his first. Well,
This is
technically,
what happens when Andres is back. I mean, I get
You
called
get a
out.
technically.
Hell
Yeah, it's a technically.
he shot it on film, and like in all movie times, the film combusts. So he wasn't able to make it into an hour or 70 minutes. It was only 40 minutes, and he never showed it to anyone. So even as an auditioning as a director for this film, he didn't show it to anyone. So nobody has seen that movie. So I think technically this is his first film.
Welcome back to SOS VHS. no. We're here for Quentin Tarantino's first feature movie.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
And Andres, I talked to you, and I'm so happy you're here to come back to the island. You're floating out at sea. You didn't make it. I knew he wouldn't make it. We're glad you're washed back up on the island. And you said, I want to do Reservoir Dogs. Why'd you say that?
Yeah, thank you guys for having me back. It's cool to have this. I mean, we look cool.
Yeah.
It's a cool crew. So this is one of the movies that really impacted me growing up. It came out in 91 in Spain. I was 11. I went to see it to the movie theater. It was one of those things that it was like, do not go to see this by yourself. It's too violent. Right. And I was blown away. I mean, violence was always something that I enjoyed watching and never affected me as movies turn you violent. That did not happen with me. But I love the narrative. I had never seen, Kubrick has a movie called The Killing, right? That has also some
black and white
influence in Tarantino's Jackie Brown, that kind of retelling of a moment from different points of views. But this movie, the narration, like how it went back and forth, and having a heist movie without a heist, all of that stuff, the dialogue, the music, I thought it was the coolest movie.
The music stands out so much.
So much.
If you rewatch it through the lens of, I'm watching this for the first time, I'm imagining myself in the theater, and I'm like, wow, even like as the song plays at the end, as the credits roll, I'm like,
Put the lime in the coconut.
It's like they took the Guardians of the Galaxy soundtrack or something.
Right.
But
I mean, I think it's the other way around.
Oh, yeah, of course.
But
it's wild to watch. Like looking back, I'm like, oh, I see how this would have so much influence.
Yeah,
and it's impossible to hear those songs and not have in mind this movie. Even if the songs came way before the movie, it's like forever.
That's
together.
what Tarantino does, right?
Yeah.
Stuck in the middle with you.
Oh, amazing.
Did you know that the day they shot that scene where he cuts off the ear with that song playing, 'cause they would be playing it on the set to give a vibe for the scene. On the way home, he apparently heard that song, Michael Madsen, and he pulls over and he checks under to make sure there's like nothing going wrong with his car, that they didn't like rig it or something, so that
it wasn't a prank.
Yeah, and he was like, oh, this is the universe talking to me.
Interesting, because this is the only song. They spent all the entire budget for soundtrack right on this one song.
Smart.
Because the difference between every other song in the movie is like you can play it later in post, but this one he's singing.
Yeah.
So he has to be there on set.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, what a song! What a
Yeah.
Yeah. He was Well, I read that he was uncomfortable with doing that scene because he's an advocate for nonviolence. So I was like, wow, how do you even try to muster up the energy? Because he looked like he was feeling that scene. Yeah. I was like, fuck, bro. But he actually had he didn't want to do it at first. It's like, wow, man. So when I was watching, I was like, okay.
Yeah, because he plays it so well.
Yeah, he was perfect.
The psycho, like
he's Vega, right? His last name is Vega.
He's Vince Vega's brother.
That's
who's John Travolta's Pulp Fiction character.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's his in his universe.
I heard that Tarantino was going to do Double V Vega with Michael Madsen and John Travolta to do a movie of them two as the Vega brothers, but he abandoned it because it's like, well, they're kind of old, and I don't think I can really pull it off. They could pull off their younger selves. But how amazing would that be if those two?
That'd be insane.
Tarantino in a early '90s Tarantino movie.
That'd be cool.
Oh man,
ultra violence.
I think he's past this phase in his life. I think his energy is somewhere else now. The new movies are not quite like these ones. But yeah, what a cool story. And his characters are so well developed, so well written. I think it's like so rich. You can feel the that he knows each character really well.
Which character would you guys be in the movie?
The black guy, police officer.
Yeah.
Once again, Doc Willis would be the goddamn. I'm gonna tell y'all something. When I was watching this movie, I said, you know what I can't do? I can't watch Reservoir Dogs and Django back to back. I said, are you fucking kidding me? Where they throw the goddamn N-word. I said, I fucking want to kick Tarantino's ass. I said, it's almost like he had an infatuation with this shit. It's like, it's like boom, 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 and then you watch Django and you're like, wait a minute, you did 2 movies with this fuck like this? It's like, and you just got to sit there and take them ends to the chest like, I'm just getting
like you're getting shot too.
Yeah, it's like, fuck.
Pulp Fiction
all of his movies are like that. The one that has, I think Jackie Brown has the record of N-words in any movie.
Jackie Brown?
Jackie Brown.
Well, yeah, you can, when black people,
it is black people saying it. It's not like in this movie.
Right.
But still, Spike Lee got mad at him and actually was a public like fight.
About that?
About that. I go, how many, it's like, you're not.
But you get what the type of characters they were, but then, like I said, let that be your last movie, Tarantino, whatever the fuck your last. Don't do it no more. That's 3. They say if something happened twice, it happened 3rd time. Don't fuck around. Don't fuck around.
Because it's the power of 3.
The power of the 3. Yeah, it's like don't fuck around. Let that shit go. That. You don't want that beef because I'm gonna send a string.
Because he says it himself in Pulp Fiction.
He does. He says it himself in Pulp Fiction.
He did?
Yeah. As an actor, he says it.
He got some kind of infatuation with that shit.
Which he wrote his own line. Obviously.
He grew up with a black stepdad, and he would go to the movie theater to see all the blaxploitation movies of the 60s and 70s. And so he was fascinated with that type of like cinema and the way they talk. And so he appropriated that. And at that time, nobody saw a problem with it. I mean, today it would be impossible.
Black stepdad, I'm going to give you a little bit of pass. All right, I didn't know that. I'm glad you did.
Okay.
What was his life like at home with the black stepdad? Like, do you think it would have been like a little funnier than like if he had a white stepdad?
Well, I know he loved telling him what to do because he had his own slave. You know what I'm saying? White slave. No? Okay.
He thought about it.
He almost got it. He was like, oh, Doc, God damn
it. Wait, you think Quentin Tarantino's stepdad was a slave?
No.
The other way around.
The other way around. It was him being a master to the white dude.
That's so funny.
Come over and bring my goddamn loafers. That ain't his real biological. Yeah. Get my goddamn remote. But it's right there on the table. Get it, slave.
After all the history of slavery, all he asked for are loafers and a remote.
Hey, that's how you do it in the crib. What are you gonna be like?
Good payback.
Yeah, it's just the crib. I get that.
Doc, had you'd seen Reservoir Dogs before, yeah?
Yeah. This was like, I think maybe my 3rd time seeing it again, and I was like, I was blown away just by all the acting.
Yeah.
And the low budget and the way they were struggling to pull everything together that I was reading about. I said, wow, this is it's interesting that some of the best movies are the ones that's derived from from barely anything.
Of course.
Just it's just more of a natural thing. Everybody just going for it.
The drive to like
Here's a really cool fact is I told you guys to come dressed up, right? Well, guess what? In the movie, same thing. Hey guys, come dressed up. Use your own wardrobe. You know, Steve Buscemi wore black jeans for his suit.
Look like me.
Yeah, just like Andres.
The actors.
Harvey Keitel wore his own suit. Michael Madsen, that's his car. So these are like these guys
that's
are
his
in.
Car?
That's his car.
Piece of shit.
Right.
It was tight back then, bro.
But with a low budget movie, you have to be in it. You know, the crew, the actors, everybody has to contribute, and you can tell everybody was like
kind of like a
contributing.
podcast of the 90s, like the indie movie.
Yeah,
well, it is the prime Sundance moment, you know. Robert Redford creates Sundance, and for real independent filmmakers, he had sold 2 scripts before this, right? He had done True Romance, and Oliver Stone was gonna make Natural Born Killers, and he said like, and this script had circled around, you know, Hollywood, and he said, no, I'm not selling this.
Yeah, I heard Tony Scott was gonna direct, but he did True Romance.
Tony Scott was Tarantino's favorite director.
Wow.
And so he got, and I think he likes True Romance. He hates Natural Born Killers, but he likes True Romance.
I've never seen Natural Born Killers.
Natural Born Killers was fucking sweet.
I thought it was a great movie, but maybe not what he had in mind. Although you feel the Tarantino, you know.
Sure. Oh yeah.
You think because of Woody Harrelson, maybe because his acting was so phenomenal in there?
Woody Harrelson's amazing.
It's just the directing,
but it's a different
take on the script.
And lots of formats and things like that. But I think with this movie, he was gonna make it for $30,000. He was gonna make it with his friends in a garage, and Lawrence Bender, who is one of the cops in the movie, you know, like the one who runs
after Steve Buscemi.
After Steve Buscemi.
Oh, really? I didn't know.
Famous producer, brutal producer too. He's very famous for being a tough guy.
Was in his crew, in Tarantino's crew. He was acting in acting classes. He took the script from Tarantino to his acting teacher. The acting teacher loved it. Acting teacher knew his wife was in New York, gave it to her, and she knew Harvey Keitel.
Wow.
So they got him the script. Harvey Keitel called Tarantino and said, hey, I really like the script. I wanna help you make this movie. I wanna be a producer in the movie. I wanna help you make it. And Harvey Keitel wasn't a star in terms of like, it's not a Leonardo DiCaprio that will greenlight the movie. It was one of those things that, but he has legitimacy. He was a real actor.
Yeah.
You know, so he flew Tarantino. He's like, he would fly in first class and he would fly Tarantino and Lawrence Bender in like, you know, coach to New York to meetings and things like that. And I think Lawrence Bender got basically to produce a real movie. I think it was $1 million, something like that.
$1.5 million.
Yeah.
Which is nothing.
It's a real budget, but it's nothing at the same time, right? And
better than 30,000.
Right. Yeah. And they got this really cool group of actors. I think that's what the movie really shines is the dialogue, the acting.
Tim Roth is so good.
Amazing.
Lawrence Bender, his office was across from my boss's office at Wilshire and La Cienega when I was an assistant. So I would
George worked for him.
That's right.
For Lawrence Bender?
Yeah. So George, when George and I were working on a movie together, he moved to LA and interned for Lawrence Bender.
Oh God, George in the Tarantino universe.
Yeah.
Oh, let me help.
Yeah.
They just shoot him.
But it's like, and then I think he got to produce interesting movies, but never as cool as like when he was with Tarantino, you know, because then, so the movie goes to Sundance. It's a darling at Sundance, but everybody feels that because the movie's going to do so well commercially and that Hollywood's already knocking at his door, they don't give him any awards and they go for more the woke, I guess, perspective back then, or like...
Oh, even back then, huh?
It was one of those moments where like he didn't win anything, but Miramax buys the movie, and then he and Harvey Weinstein make history with all his movies until...
Yeah.
The Weinstein debacle.
Mm-hmm. All the pieces that come together, even Sally Menke, right? Of like Menke. Her agent was like, oh, I don't want I don't want you to do this movie.
Yeah.
And she ignores her, agent and has a 30-year career. Imagine that, like taking the advice of somebody and then all of that history just wiped away. And maybe they would have hooked up later, like, as a team. But that's amazing. Sally Menke is a huge part of Tarantino, and that start like from the very beginning.
Yeah.
And then she does what, the next 6 movies?
She did until she died. She didn't do the last one, but
Harvey Keitel shot her.
No, I don't think so. I think it was in natural causes, but it was
hiking. They say like a heat stroke or something. It looked really weird. She wasn't that old.
So it's
mysterious. But I feel like when you think of Scorsese and Thelma Schumacher and you think Spielberg and Michael Caine, you think of Tarantino and Sally Menke. It's like that they are a team, and I think she brought a lot of expertise to even the concept of the movie being such fragmented piece of art, that has to make sense. And the same thing with Pulp Fiction. Pulp Fiction is a little more like the refined version of this movie.
There's this interview of Tarantino talking about Sally Menke, and he's like, editing is like playing music, right? So there's like, a couple frames here or a couple, and it's a sour note, right? So that's what editing is. It's frames. You work in frames. And Sally, like, I'm just like,
so annoying.
He's so
it's so passionate
over the topics, like. Imagine Sally Menke going, "Okay, Quentin, all right," dealing with this with Tarantino. Like,
there is some behind the scene. I think of, like, I don't know if it's Death Proof, and one of those movies. I think like they did it for every other movie after this. It's like every take, the actors go to camera and say, "Hey, Sally," and then they start,
that's cool.
I think
fun.
they have a cool vibe. But yeah, I think this movie changed movies. I think he's the most important director of the 1990s, and I think it changed how movies were conceived, made, independent filmmaking in the U.S., how influential.
The movie Go is like a direct ripoff of Tarantino, which is like
there's a million Tarantino wannabes after Tarantino.
Yeah, that unorthodox style, it's really, it's a game changer. Because everybody else usually just has a regular plot format, but to mix the endings and the beginnings and I'm like you can't get up out of like his movie is one of the ones you can't get up for a second to go pee because you come back, what the fuck just happened? And then so like you have to you have to really sit down and see every detail and hear every word because certain things that said relates to the ending too that was put in the goddamn middle. It's like fuck.
It is like a novel, like it has the chapter element to it, and now we can go back or we can revisit something that TV does now, right? Like you can have a new episode starting like years before,
of course,
a side character, but like in the 90s, this is like kind of like blown people away.
Yeah, and you get to get that development from each of the characters, right?
Yeah.
We don't really know who we are. We don't know who Mr. Blonde is. Right. Just when we first introduced to him, right? It's that shot that tracks back, right? Of like Steve Buscemi, Harvey Keitel pointing the gun. Yeah, you tracks back and he's sitting there, right? That's our introduction.
Like standing with his soda.
Yeah.
And it's like everybody has been talking about this, Mr. Orange, and now it's like, okay, it's a hero entrance. Like you already have so many expectations about him.
It's summertime, school's out, no traffic at 8 a.m. and 3 p.m.
It's summertime, you start smelling. And, you could be like hiking, right? You could be playing volleyball. Me, it's like peeling an orange and I'm start smelling. You know what I mean? I got Mando, and here it is. You can see that it's used.
And your wife likes the smell, right?
Oh.
Mando is clinically proven to last up to 72 hours. That's so many movies you could watch while wearing Mando.
It's safe for the whole body, pits, package, feet, and everywhere in between. It stops odor before it starts, and it's available in 4 cologne quality scents: bourbon leather, Mount Fuji, Pro Sport, Clover Woods. Man, I love the Mount Fuji smell. That's my favorite part of Mando is the smell.
That's my favorite one too, by the way. Mount Fuji.
But Carlos, after this, why don't you wipe down a little bit, man? I'm smelling a little Carlos over here. So wipe all in all the areas just to cover your bases.
These are cool. They look like something you would pick up in a video game that would give you extra health. All right? Mando's starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant. I love that cream tube. 2 free products of your choice, like mini body wash and deodorant wipe, and free shipping.
Luckily, I have a discount code to help you get hooked on our favorite smelling whole body body deodorant on the market. New customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code.
That equates to over 40% off your starter pack. Use code SOS at shopmando.com. SHOPMANDO.com.
Shopmando.com. I remember last episode where I shaved your balls.
Oh my gosh. I mean, it was amazing.
And but I didn't just shave your balls. I shaved I shaved a nice pee into your pubes. Did you notice? You didn't see it at first, but when you get home, did you see that?
I liked the pee. It made me laugh. I saw it in the mirror, so it looked like some backwards, like demonic thing. And I was like, oh, that's just pee for Pete.
Yeah.
And what that means is that I'm one of 10 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped. With our exclusive offer, get 20% off plus free shipping when you go to manscaped.com and you use code SOSVHS. Summertime and the trimming is easy.
No. Summertime and the trimming's easy. And this is the Performance Package 5.0 Ultra. And then it's got this ball deodorant, which is really, really cool. I mean, balls, they don't smell sweet.
No, they don't smell particularly good. They're not famous for smelling good.
Right.
So thank you, Manscaped, for changing that.
And then this crop soother, which is basically an aftershave, which is genius because there's aftershave for your face, but for your balls...
I love the Shed travel bag and the Manscaped boxers.
Yep.
It's pretty cool that they give you those extra things.
And they're little free gifts, and they're in the bottom of the box. So it's you get a little trap door underneath.
Get 20% off plus free shipping with code SOSVHS at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with code SOSVHS at manscaped.com.
It's smooth sack summer. Get on board or get left behind. But then you get all of that of them interacting, and then it's they have their little vignettes of here's Chris Penn and Michael Madsen talking about they have some history together. You get who he is.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of Madonna, she had an issue with the way the dialogue about her song "Like a Virgin." She was like, "No, it's about love," and I was
apparently she sent a copy of the record signed to Tarantino saying, "Well, this song is actually about love."
Yeah. It's fucking.
You're
but
you was out there getting it in, though. I was like, I don't know.
But isn't Like a Prayer about a blowjob?
Is it?
Yeah.
I don't know. All of her songs are one way or another.
That's
all love. Because I sing that too.
All of it.
Love is sex. It's okay, Madonna.
But that conversation about Like a Virgin, right? The movie opens over black with that conversation. You can see it in every movie, right? Doesn't matter if it's the cheeseburger or Superman on Kill Bill, right? The way they talk about Superman and it's that way of looking at pop culture and giving it a spin that I thought it was amazing.
It's so hip. That's the thing. It brings that it's fun. It's the diner scene in Pulp Fiction. Everything is just. It's just fun, man. It's just fun dialogue, and you don't really get that real you're hanging out. You're just sitting there. You're oh, I'm actually listening to people talking. Yeah, that's how real it is. Oh, this is a conversation.
They talk like you're at dinner. It's supposed to Lethal Weapon 1 or
So
it don't seem contrived when they're talking about stuff like that. It seems more realistic and more grounded.
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah,
because that whole Madonna conversation, even I kind of was what they fucking talking about like bank robbers.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It's
Tarantino's way of explaining was well, when people talk, they don't talk about the plot. People do not talk about what they're about to do and only that. They talk like people, and in movies, people talk in dialogue. It all has a purpose.
You're not supposed to say in a script what you're doing. You're supposed to do it.
Right.
So he's actually perfect.
He did it in a way that I think is yeah.
Can I mention a piece of dialogue here that I wrote down?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's Chris Penn's dialogue to Michael Madsen.
Okay.
He says,
I'm nervous.
You know what? I think it's all that black semen been pumped up your ass so far. Yeah. Now it's backed into your fucking brain and it's coming out of your mouth. Wow, that was written down and said to some as
improvised?
like a joke, because he was in jail. Wow, what a line.
The black semen.
I mean, pumped so far up your ass, it's in your brain and now coming out of your mouth.
It's not even the semen from a black man. It's black semen itself.
Like tar.
I think that's
yes, like tar. It's
dried up.
Carlos gets it to a different level.
Yeah, it's so when he said that, I was like, oh, black semen. like it's like semen from a demon.
No, that did not cross my mind. That is not a universal interpretation.
And I'm sure that was in between N-words, but it's just crazy.
Yeah.
Right? That this is the dialogue is so like, whoa, like in your face.
Yeah.
But you remember it and you're like, whoa, that line. I had to write it down. I was like, wow.
Can you delete it when we're done here?
I will delete it.
So your wife doesn't see it. And
yeah. Or my son doesn't try to spell it out.
Yeah. Your son starts talking about it at school. Black semen.
My daddy wrote it down.
I feel because the dialogue and the characters are so developed and so well constructed, like that each actor, you know, I don't know what the directing actor's piece of Tarantino was, but I think like the casting and getting the roles is 50% or 60%. Because I do feel like they're so vividly, you know, they jump on off the page and say like, hey, the way that this thing flows is so interesting and so unique that I feel like almost anyone could act or act better with a text like that than just a regular movie, you know?
Yeah.
You know what part I love in this movie is when they're on the black guy, when Doc and Tim Roth are on the rooftop.
Yeah.
And you can tell behind them is Highland Avenue from the Gothic structure. It's Hollywood and Highland. So they're probably about 100 feet east of Highland on Hollywood Boulevard is what I was realizing.
Wow.
Yeah. So whenever I pass that, I literally look up and I go, that's where they shot Reservoir Dogs like 35 years ago.
And doesn't Quentin just love LA?
He's an LA person.
Yeah.
Even the beginning of Jackie Brown is Hollywood and Normandy with Chris Rock.
Yeah. But all the elements is very LA, and they shot the full movie in a mortuary of sorts, and they built his apartment on the second floor. So
I looked it up. It's I paused it and looked at the street, and it was Figueroa under downtown, south of USC. So if you go on YouTube, oh my God, I'll go on YouTube and I'll watch these videos, and it's just like an hour of a guy driving down Figueroa and looking at prostitutes, but like in 2024, in 2020, it's like recently. And it's just like he drives around and like shows you prostitutes. It's fun to watch.
A
fun fact, yes, like that people have, you know, like yeah.
And they're
He
locked
puts
and
like
loaded.
a camera on. He's like a cam on his car, and he drives around. And when he sees like a Latina or something, he like pauses and he goes, "This is girl right here is on Figueroa and 39th Street looking for a man." And then they like it's.
And
fun.
this is how you discover the location.
Oh no, I'm afraid.
Lawn movies.
No, I'm afraid to go there. That's where you park.
Wink, wink.
Wait, where was it again? Yeah.
But yeah, that's where Tim Roth's apartment was, Figueroa.
Hey, do you, being in behind the scenes all the time, do you wish, is there any particular project that he's done that you said to yourself, I would have liked to have worked with him on that project?
Honestly, all of that, any of them. Yeah. Especially the early ones that have an energy. I think the later movies are more polished, but the early ones have this energy that are, you know, it's unbelievable. That first scene at the diner, right? And it's like, if you think about directing wise, he has way cooler scenes and you know, more structure. I don't know, like, to think of people sitting at a table, you think Hans Landa in the beginning of Inglourious Basterds.
Oh, yeah.
That scene is like a directing masterpiece. This one is more like, hey, you get it over the shoulders as you're running around.
Raw. It's very raw.
It's raw. It's not as polished, but it has this energy, like music, the dialogue, all those actors there. And I was like, from the beginning.
That's how I feel about like something like Mean Streets, right? Very raw. Harvey Keitel in Mean Streets, Harvey Keitel in Reservoir Dogs. Like, director's first movie is like, what is it? The Harvey Keitel, magic.
But even that first shot, like the around the table at the beginning of Reservoir Dogs, that's replicated in the movie Swingers. And
well, it's a way
or is it a homage to Goodfellas from the scene where with Imperioli? That's what I'm confused.
So Goodfellas is a couple years
later.
It's a year or 2 years after Reservoir Dogs. But
Goodfellas is 91.
91, this is 90.
92.
This is 92?
92, Reservoir Dogs. They shot in 91.
Okay. So yeah, I think it's more or less they're very close in time, but I think completely, even in the mobster world, completely different takes on it.
Of course.
But the idea of like shooting around a table scene, I think directing wise is like the easiest way to avoid the nightmare of access and line and coverage, because you're always, you're always behind them and you're always swinging around. So it has energy, it's fun, and it saves you from a nightmare of a shoot.
It's a first-time director like trick.
Or like it's a director trick. I think this movie also, he had never directed anything except for that thing that he have done homemade movies, I guess. But I think there's a lot of wild, like bold choices in this film to shoot that, and then the editing too, because he did have the insert of the ear, it's like you can see that shot. It's just like the editor also, it's like that shot is amazing, like the one that goes up to the ramp and like hold it there. I think those things.
The last scene where very controversial scene where you don't know what the fuck happens.
Right.
Where he goes to the his left to the right.
Yeah. So all of that stuff is I think, like, for someone who have never directed anything, incredible.
I would say that that diner scene too. When he's doing like this, when he was it towards the end and he's pointing, that's actually him telling them to lower the cameras or something, and they just let it play out.
Oh, that's cool.
He's like
Tarantino?
this fucking It's like when they sitting at the table and they do the over the shot, and it's the over the shoulder shot, and then what's his name, Joe or whatever the actor name is, and then it's them, and then Tarantino's over here. And when Tarantino turns and he looks up and he does like this, they just left that in the shot. He's talking to the camera people to get back or something.
I didn't know that. That's cool.
Fucking sweet.
Yeah,
man. First time feature director, just owning it. That's unbelievable faith, right? And like, hey, I'm gonna make this
confidence. There's a lot of Tarantino, you hear him talk afterwards, and you feel like, has he always been like that? This overly confident person, the way he talks, right?
How is he so confident? It is an interesting thing. It must be like just inside of him as a person.
Overly confident, or he's just confident?
I think he has that almost like cockiness in the way he speaks about the things, he
knows so much about it. It's like the definition of the word knowing. He can just talk endlessly.
And he's like perpetually on coke almost. Like every time he talks, he's like, really like overly excited about it.
But I'm always blown away by him and his energy, and having that sort of confidence at that age. Well, he talks about like having 8 years before making this movie, 8 years of eating shit, like being so miserable. And
I'm like 8 years. I'm like, that ain't shit.
Yeah.
I'm like,
but
you know what I mean? It sounds like so much when you're young. You're like,
right. But it's like a lot. It's like basically your 20s, like spending like, working
8 years. You talking about working?
Working at a video store and like not getting anything.
Yeah. Well, not according to like stand up, but
but it is.
That's what I'm saying. That's so normal for like comedy. It's like an 8 to 10 minimum.
Exactly.
But he went to Sundance, with this movie and the Sundance Lab. So Sundance has screenwriters labs and directing labs for younger filmmakers, and they kind of like 3 or 4 days they get mentored by bigger, established directors.
They reshot a scene, right, for this.
They shot a scene there. I don't remember exactly what.
I've always tried to figure out what it is.
But I know that he met Terry Gilliam there, and that he
Monty Python.
Yeah, and 12 Monkeys.
12 Monkeys, right? Yeah.
I never saw that either.
12 Monkeys?
Yeah, I never saw it.
Put it in your list.
Yeah.
Great movie.
Yeah.
Bruce Willis.
I'll watch it tonight.
Crazy Brad Pitt.
Bruce Willis,
Brad Pitt.
Yeah,
great performances. Awesome world, too.
It's like a bald guy movie, too.
And it's also around that time.
Because Bruce Willis is in it.
Isn't that
everyone's like
early 90s, I think, time frame, too. But so he talks about meeting Terry Gilliam saying, hey, so when I see movies, I see that movies all have no personality, and I see your movies and say, okay, your movies have something. What is that thing? I want my movies to be like that.
Yeah.
And what he told him was something that is advice for everyone who wants to make a movie, which is, okay, you don't know anything about making movies, right? You're going to hire people that know how to do those things. But you know everything about your movie. Like, nobody knows more than you about your movie. So you just need to be able to articulate what you want to all those people who know how to do it. So you have a DP. You don't need to know about lighting and camera and all that. You just need to know to tell him what you want. Costume designer, sound designer, production designer. All those people are there to translate that vision. It's just if you cannot articulate it is when it goes down, right? But if you can explain what you want and explain it well, then all these people will make it happen for you. And he took that advice and is like, yeah, it's my movie. I know my movie. I know my characters. These are my people. I wrote them.
This is the thing. Yeah, you have to have some kind of selfishness in that to understand, to get that message across.
Right.
You don't have that lock-in mode, it'll turn into shit.
Yeah.
Other people start putting their hands and you start listening to them motherfuckers. Yeah.
Most movies are terrible.
That's probably what you see, that overconfidence. It's just that knowing. Knowing is the most important thing. Once you know everything, it's kind of like when I talk about science and I don't be knowing, and I'll be like, but past that, it's still important. It's very important for you to have that kind of confidence in that type of project.
Absolutely. I think that it comes across, I think it makes bold choices, because it's a movie about people talking most of the time.
Right.
It's a movie where you don't see the main event of the movie. You don't see it.
It could be a boring movie.
It could
be, like if it was, imagine if it was linear, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. At some point you'd be like, okay, so this happened. They wanted to do a heist. It didn't go right. And now it went bad. But you don't get those little vignettes. You don't get that backstory of Tim Roth learning that script, becoming an actor, right? Like, hey, you got to convince, and then you get, how great is that moment where they actually film the scene that he has with the cop, like as he's talking to the bosses.
Oh yeah, that was dope.
That's amazing. He's talking in the bathroom. He's talking, and the camera, circling around him, and the cops are still there. I think all of that is fun.
Pete, I cannot wait until football season starts. NFL, college football, it's going to be a good time, but at least we got baseball, Copa America, the Euros.
Yeah, I used to play baseball, but I still think baseball can be a little bit boring sometimes. Throw a little bet on it, it's not so boring.
Oh yeah, nothing's boring when you bet on it.
Hell yeah. What do you like betting on?
Football.
Football?
Yeah, NBA, also soccer. I mean, kind of anything.
I'm not a big bettor, but then like this, with my bookie, like I got a little sample, a little taste of it.
Yeah.
And now I'm betting on sports and I'm actually watching.
Where are you checking the lines though? My bookie.
On my bookie, yeah. It's easy.
Argentina has reached the final in 5 of the last 7 tournaments, and Brazil has played in the last 2 finals. So a lot of people are going to bet heavy on those 2 teams to go far in the tournament.
You know what? I should tell my wife. She's from Spain, and I'll be like, I'll get her in on it because she's a huge, football fan. I was about to say soccer.
Pete, I just want to tell you, and whether I'm betting on soccer, baseball, football, cricket, I'm putting my money down at my bookie. It's my preferred platform.
Real simple, real fast way to get in there and have a little fun.
For those of you in the gang who haven't signed up yet, this is your chance. Sign up, make a deposit using my promo code SOS and start playing with house money today. Bet anything, anytime, from anywhere, only with my bookie.
And support our show by going to my bookie.
Code SOS.
That's right. Love you.
Love you too. I love my bookie. I do have a question about Tim Roth. Like when he's leaving the apartment and you can see there's a ladder, like he just moved in. He's divorced, right? Because he puts on his wedding ring.
Yeah, I noticed that.
And I'm like, is he putting on his old wedding ring to go into that like role in his mind as undercover?
Yeah.
Because it looks like he just moved in there.
Or is this his real apartment, or is this the character that he's playing, this undercover person's apartment? That
would make more sense. Because they don't know where he really lives.
I don't know he would have his real apartment.
Exactly.
But it's all like,
because he's buried under a lot of coins.
But
it's like in
he's playing music in there too.
He's playing
Fool for Love, great song.
And he has he has certain elements that feel like more than just a setup.
But he also has the Silver Surfer poster. So I'm like, Oh, is this his bachelor pad and his wife is somewhere else and he gets to put up the Silver Surfer thing? Like,
yeah, because it was never, it is never talk. You know, there's those moments that is never explained. That
but it's good to discuss. I am curious. I'm like, I always wondered about that.
I noticed that too. It's like, why?
Tarantino himself would know, but
it gives him a little bit of extra confidence, right? He's about to shit his pants. He's leaving that house. He knows he could die.
Taking too long too. I was getting nervous. I was like, get down there already.
Right, and then he looks at himself in the mirror, right? Like, you're cool.
You're super cool.
You're amazing. You're gonna do it. You know, like that moment that, you know, I don't know if it would happen to anyone like in real life, like talking, but like your thoughts are. And then he goes into this, and I mean, everything goes well except for like he gets killed by the randomness act, you know.
And that scene where he's like practicing too, the way that's cut together, where he's starting to like, he's like, oh yeah, wait, what was that?
Yeah.
All of a sudden he's like, yeah, and so then, you know, I go into the bathroom, right? Like you see that confidence of like he's nailed it. You see that progression of like he's got the script down. You're like, that's interesting. There's something there where it's montage, but instead of training. He's learning a script.
Which is cool. I also like this is some LA info. The diner where he meets his fellow police officer is Wilshire and Fairfax, which is a diner that's not even it's only for movies.
Yeah. Yes. I love that diner.
Have you seen it recently?
Yeah,
it used to be covered in Bernie Sanders.
Fairfax.
Well, like next to the
next to the
Academy Museum.
cattle corner from the Target.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
It's right there.
There are a couple of those. I mean, LA is full of those
diners that don't exist.
Fake places that are just for movies, but then you want to, you know.
I was saying to myself, I'm going to get something to eat.
I noticed the light. Yeah, it's the lights. I noticed.
Okay.
They're like 1950s style.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because I go to random places like that. I'm like, you know what, let me try a little breakfast spot.
And I feel like Tarantino is also, he's an encyclopedia about film, but also LA, you know.
Sure.
You go to Norms now, they started selling alcohol.
I don't go to the Norms in Hollywood anymore, but I go to, once in a while, I go to the one over here off of, it's over by Van Nuys.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, I go to that one, but
yeah,
I miss that Norm.
Do they have Pinot Noir
every
there?
time after the comedy store.
They better have Pinot Noir there.
They do?
Do they?
They got wine there now?
Yeah, they started. It's like this week. They were like, "Oh, Norms will start selling alcohol."
You really?
Yeah.
Okay, no fancy.
I gotta ask you guys a question. It's it's Mr. Pink in the beginning of the movie, right? He's talking about tipping. What do you guys do when you're at, like, let's just say something like a Subway or fast food, whatever, and it spins around and it says 10%, 15% or no tip. The tipping has gotten a little out of hand. Do you press no tip? Do you tip when you're not supposed to tip just because you feel bad?
At Subway, I press no tip.
You press no tip?
Yeah.
Got it.
No way.
I have been guilted into pressing at least like 10%. But I'm like, I'm losing money fast here because I feel guilted into doing it.
I am a little bit like Mr. Pink.
You're very European about
it. Yes, because when I came to this country, I couldn't understand. I think tipping was this thing in Europe. There's that extra thing that you give someone just to say thank you or whatever. Here, early on, it was like, wait a second, this amount of tip too. Like, it's like, because there, people have salaries, normal salaries. Why do I have to pay for the meal and also for his salary or her salary? Because what does the owner of this place do?
I'm playing the world's smallest violin.
Indeed. And so it took me a while to understand the system and how, like, you know, you get nothing and then you get paid in tips. And then I have to learn, like, it's only when they serve you. Because if they don't serve you, there's no tipping. So if they don't serve me, I don't tip.
That's how I feel.
I do it one time. Because I never
One time a month? I'm
talking about I never go back. If I fucking see that you got 10, 20, 15 or 20, guess who's not eating here no more, you son bitch? That's how that go. Everywhere I eat, I don't never see that. Because now I go to all places where it's just, if I sit down and eat, then that's automatic 20 plus, right?
Yeah.
Outside of that, don't spin that shit around and I'm at the fucking register and people behind me looking at me. I got a fucking, I should just go zero and just look at them.
He did it. He didn't tip.
They have that everywhere. Like, I remember at the weed store, like, they would have that.
Fuck the motherfuckers at the weed store, bro.
Yeah, like 20% of a marijuana order is like.
But at the hairdresser, or like if you go to cut your hair, why do I tip you on top of my? I don't understand. I do not understand. That's why I only cut my hair in Spain.
Well, I will say that. I will say
I would fly 10,000 miles to cut my hair.
It's cheaper than the tip.
That's why I cut my own shit.
10,000 miles from here?
Yeah.
That's so far. If you asked me how far the moon was,
No, it's
I would have
10,000
said 10,000 miles.
It's 10,000 kilometers. So,
Metric system.
yeah, you guys are the only ones who do the wrong thing.
We do our own thing.
Us and
One-
was it Libya?
Is that yeah?
And a couple other countries.
Yeah.
You know, it is.
But yeah, I think the tipping is. I thought that conversation was great, and I remember really vividly when I moved here. It's like, oh, I'm
Especially LA, it had to just drive you fucking crazy.
and it used to be that 15 was okay, but now it's like it
20
starts
plus.
at 17 or 18 and then 25. Like, wait a second.
You could do the Bobby and tip 400%.
Right, which is great.
Yeah.
I would love to do that.
$100 for anything.
Yeah, like this costs $5. Take 100. Yeah.
I also like in that scene where it's like, well, she didn't do anything spectacular, whatever, over the top.
Right.
What does she got to do? Take her out back and suck your dick?
But also they were like saying like $1 each, so here's a little too much.
Yeah, it's way too much, and it's just coffee. But that line of like, she didn't do anything that.
But he's the only one who survives.
But what's funny is I'm like, you're criminals. Who gives a fuck? Like,
Right.
They act like they working a job and you're arguing over $1. I'm like,
Yeah.
fucking guy, you rob people for it.
Their morals are very interesting.
What would your else colors be? What would you request if you were allowed to request the color? Because I'd be mad if I was like, oh, just gave me a color. I kind of want.
You know, like Steve Buscemi complaining that he's Mr. Pink.
Yeah.
But I would like Mr. Pink. I go, oh, thank you.
No, I like green. Green's my favorite color, Mr. Green,
Oh, Mr. Green.
because it's color of money too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. What would you be? Mr. Black, obviously.
I was gonna say it. No, I don't know. I like
Mr.
I like the Mr. Purple.
I think I was gonna be.
There's another guy on a job named
And
Mr.
another,
Purple.
in another podcast, there's another Mr. Purple.
It reminds
Yeah.
me of pimp suits and Grimace. You know what I'm saying? Like, fucking, that's what I don't.
That's so funny.
I don't know why, but Grimace is.
Yeah. Pimp suits. Yeah.
They are purple, or
Yeah.
a lot of those pictures are very purple.
Yeah.
I think I would be the Penn, Sean Penn's, Chris Penn.
Chris-
Oh, with
That's
the
who I would
tracksuit.
be.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice Eddie.
You know,
Yeah,
Nice guy,
nice
yeah.
guy Eddie.
Nice guy.
for a
Eddie.
split second, I was like, when I was watching it again, and I completely forgot that was Chris Penn, and I'm like, what the fuck did he?
Yeah.
Fucking Jonah Hill travel back in time. How the fuck did he do this movie? And then I'm like, wait a minute. And then I looked it up again. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. This is fucking Sean Penn and them brother. I was like, fuck it.
Yeah.
Does look like a tougher Jonah Hill.
Yeah, I'm telling you, there's
He
an
looks like a
eerie
Catholic
similarity,
Jonah Hill.
bro.
But I think
There was one moment from Chris Penn at the end when he's getting angry.
Yeah.
That I was like, the acting's not all like he was just like very
Stop
like,
pointing that gun at my dad.
Yeah, a little. You know what I mean? Look, the acting's superb. Harvey Keitel, Tim
Sean.
Roth,
Okay.
Steve Buscemi. Like, I mean, it's
he is
so good.
not in the same caliber
He's not.
of actors, the same way that Tarantino is not, and even with his,
Tarantino too.
But he is, he himself. He has to know himself very well because his film school was just acting school.
Mm-hmm.
He would have. I read many places in interviews with other people that he would have given anything to act. I mean, and you have seen him in certain episodes of TV that he left bigger jobs to just do the Star Trek, whatever, one episode or the Alias episode or whatever it is,
Yeah, I mean, you can see that early in his career.
And he's
how
like
happy
in
he was.
Robert Rodriguez's, you're right, and like
His buddy.
There's a test footage of him and Steve Buscemi, like Tarantino doing Harvey Keitel's lines, just as test footage to
Yeah.
to try
Oh,
it out.
that's
So like
cool.
he's doing the dialogue. He's
And
You know
he-
where I hate? I won't say hate because I love Tarantino so much, but you know where I just thought he was awful was when he played the Australian in Django.
oh yeah.
I was like, what
I
are
know.
you doing?
and he's always like
He's a little chubby in it. And I'm
I
like,
think he said, "Shut up, black." Like what?
yeah,
Like not
but
good.
and at least he does his cameos in a very.
Oh, I laugh too much. At that.
It's a smaller roles that he writes for himself.
Yeah.
But it is one of those things where like, okay,
That's part of his thing too.
Yeah.
you expect Tarantino to be somewhere.
He doesn't bother me in this movie at all as an actor. I mean, say like
either.
he didn't give himself a bigger role because I think he's not on the caliber of the Harvey Keitels. And
So there's so much going on too, and so much dialogue ping-ponging back and forth.
Yeah.
That it kind of drowns out his position and his character. He's there, but you're so involved with the other guy that when he say something, he's like, okay, and then you back to the other shit.
Yeah,
which is probably what he wants too. He wants to be
yeah.
included, but not like
he doesn't stand out.
Which
like
is-
him and he's Mr. Brown, right? And then Mr. Blue was Eddie
not Vetter.
Can you imagine Tarantino?
Browen. Eddie Browen
The one that dies immediately.
Mr.
Yeah.
Blue, yeah.
is the older guy who has
Doc, what are you laughing at?
Yeah.
Imagine Tarantino doing that Chris Penn scene when he's my dad. That my fucking neck. That would have been horrible.
That was good acting.
Fucking home.
When you're crazy.
And we're back. We just cut a story that Carlos told that we can't air.
Hell yeah. People getting
another
killed.
Thursday.
Yeah. I love my favorite line from Tim Roth is when the cop is complaining about his ear.
Oh yeah.
Right? And he's like, I'm gonna be scarred. And then Tim Roth goes, fuck you!
Yeah.
I'm fucking dying! I just shut the fuck. Like, he's so pissed off in that moment that even with a bullet wound, he's screaming at the top of the lungs at this cop complaining. He's like, I just killed this guy, for you. I'm in a pool of blood. But that you can just tell
the drink looks good in the movie too.
The what?
Michael Madsen's drink. It looks good.
Oh, when
it makes you thirsty.
Yeah. Because it's so hot,
Feels like a Jules from Pulp Fiction.
I was about to say.
Right?
It feels like that.
Yeah. There's something about it where it feels menacing.
He's definitely the cool character. For some reason, is he has a smaller role, but it's so you will never forget him, right?
He has his power about
he has the song of the movie. He has
the dance that he does is
oh, it's so funny.
You can never forget that moment.
No, that's the scene that stands out the most.
Right. It's the coolest. It's the coolest scene.
But the intro where they're all walking, it's the only slow motion walk that I've ever liked in a movie. I don't like them ever in movies. I think Tarantino does the only and best one.
You don't like the Armageddon?
I don't like Armageddon.
Villains,
the Avengers, Armageddon, Monsters Inc. I don't like any.
Well,
of
but those are all Armageddon
type of
homages or whatever.
But I usually don't like it, but I really like this opening.
And Tarantino's face stood out the most to me because he has this little
smiling?
smirk.
Yeah.
There's something about it. I don't know.
I think he made these guys superheroes with that song. It's his choice in music is so excellent, right? And that is slow motion. These guys are not. They're not Ocean's 11, right? These are low lives, really. They're not that cool. And suddenly they're wait a second. They look so good. And
they rob a goddamn Compton fucking jewelry shop?
Jewelry store,
yeah, exactly.
Their whole plan is a jewelry. It's such a.
It doesn't seem that hard. If they were I'd be like, why are we wearing suits then?
I agree that the actual plan, right, is it's so simple. If they look like they have to study this thing, it's they're gonna go in and go grab the diamonds and get out. Why is all this?
Us four could do that without suits on.
Yeah.
Literally us four. I think.
Doc, imagine your street gang. Everybody's wearing the same clothes. we're this is who we
in
are.
Detroit, would this be considered cool wearing all suits, or they'd be like, Playboy, get out of here?
No, I don't ever even. I've never even heard street guys wearing the same thing.
Exactly.
Because you want to be as different from each other as you can, especially when it's time for the getaway.
Yeah.
4 motherfuckers wearing the same thing. It's easy to find them. Yeah. Look for the motherfucker with the Burger King shirt on and other. You know what I mean? Both got on Burger King outfits.
I
fucking be different.
I
What,
guess
are Burger King shirts popular?
I don't know. I just
That's so funny though.
everybody has a crown.
A motherfucker will grab running around looking like royalty. Get them all.
You're Mr. Whopper. You're Mr. Chicken Fries.
But isn't the plan that they all wear the same thing because they're not gonna get caught there, and then when the people say, hey, what do these guys look like? Well, I don't know. They were white guys in suits, you know.
It's anonymity, yeah.
So generic. But I agree. I think it's a cool look. I think the choice was good of never showing that Heist because it would have been a ridiculous one. It wouldn't have been cool at all.
And there's no budget.
And there's no budget. Yeah. Which is,
you know what I like in this movie? Which is that it bends the rules of Hollywood and reality, where the guns have too many bullets for the clip. But that's so on purpose, obviously. Like when Steve Buscemi is shooting the 3 cops, he shoots like 12 bullets or something from one clip. And it's so like you're in a movie, you're in a Hollywood movie. This is no longer realistic at all.
Yeah.
Like when he's
wait,
like on
Doc.
Oh yeah.
Doc's gonna refute it.
How many bullets do you think go in a clip?
But it seems like he's shooting way too many bullets. Like it's like a Hollywood thing where they.
Okay. I wasn't counting all the shots. Oh, because you said like 12, and I'm like, well, now
how many bullets are in a clip?
Some of them like 16. Depends on what kind of gun you got.
I think Carlos has no idea.
Yeah, I know.
Hey, you ain't never heard of that 16 shots.
That's a lot of shots.
And Mr. White has 2 guns.
That's how much like most like 9mm and 4.5 they have.
I didn't find it unrealistic. I found it like action movie, like his references are probably Asian cinema, you know.
Oh, which I wanted to ask.
Yeah.
City on Fire controversy, where people are blaming Tarantino for plagiarizing City on Fire because there's similarities between it's a gang that's doing a diamond heist. There's an undercover cop who gets shot, and then there's a Mexican standoff. All in this movie.
Yeah.
And it's like 20 minutes of the movie, so it's not like the entire plot and everything. Yeah. And obviously the narrative structure, there's so many things that are different, but there's a lot of these elements. And then what Tarantino said was that all artists steal from other artists.
Yeah.
Do you believe
I
that?
do. Like Picasso used to say, you know, like mediocre artists like get inspired, great artists steal. And I think like in a way, like I don't think he stole in terms of like, it's like he has a full library of things that he's seen and things that he likes and puts them together in a different way. I think ideas are not copyrightable even today, right? You have to A to Z. You could, if this was a legal matter, they could have solved it.
It's a standard script. It's not. It's like undercover cop heist. Like it's
how
not.
Many times you've seen that idea? It's like
so many times.
And
yeah,
how many different variety of combinations can you put inside a heist? There's only so many ways you can go anywhere.
If not, nobody could do any art. If like, I use the purple color, you know, I'm a pimp. Nobody can now use purple anymore. You know, like that's not how this works. I feel like an idea is just an idea, and in case of a script that is so, I mean, it's a fun. If you take the dialogue out, which just makes it like, what is the plot? It's nothing. This movie is not a plot movie. It's like, you know, the characters and all that, and that has nothing to do with the other movie. And also the style. I think like this is one of those things that's like,
well, and it's how the story is told.
Right.
In a very, very unique way, a very Tarantino way. Yeah. Completely unique. Now, if somebody made a non-linear story with a heist with, you know, character names and all that.
But it's like, hey, if you tell a story backwards, is that copying Memento because or like Christopher Nolan because he did it? If you tell a story from different points of view, it's copying like Kurosawa. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
It might be someone doing it first, and then it's like, okay, well, that's a cool idea. I want to take it. I want to make my own version of that.
What was what's that singer's name? Ed Sheeran was when he had that copyright thing against him, right?
He was on Theo's podcast.
He literally took a guitar and went, here's his chord progression for all these songs. All of these songs. So now this chord progression now gets copyrighted for everything. He literally showed on his guitar, like, that's what we all use. Like this is
pop music is so
theory.
Simple in terms of like you know, the ABC structure. But I think there's clear cases of someone copying someone else, and there are inspirations and like, you know, things like that, which without it there would be no art.
Yeah.
Should we whine about it?
Let's whine about it.
Hell yeah.
So Fancy, I know you've been gone out in the ocean a long time.
Yeah.
You're probably dying.
You got fancier without me.
Yeah.
Are you dying of thirst?
You're dying of thirst, but we're going to give you a little alcohol instead.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how we do it.
Hey, we'll come back on
Yeah.
also.
I think that's is that a Doug Willis inspiration?
That's
Yep,
right.
You got it.
Yep.
Little connection, you
No
know.
alcohol?
Yeah, can you guys mind double checking?
This has alcohol.
switch.
That's
switch.
really
juice.
scary.
This is grape juice.
Thank you.
Don't
I saw
even-
it when it was when he was
my
handed it to
God.
me. I was like, oh, see the
tell-
richness.
you
That was close.
See the richness
sorry.
in that color right there, that
Hey.
tone.
So
Hey, cheers.
are we cheering?
Cheers.
Cheers. Andres is back on the island.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What's the name of this
Oh,
island?
shit.
It's Fancy Island.
Fantasy Island.
Fancy Island.
Fancy Island.
You know what? This is Fancy Island.
Okay, yeah, let's keep it there.
I like that.
Fantasy Island.
Yeah.
Fancy
Yeah.
Island.
That way, when you go on, we still.
Are you going to
You know
attempt
there's
to...
an island in the Gulf of Mexico that was on maps before the 1900s that is no longer there. The Mexicans claim there was an island, but no one can find proof of it. So everyone thinks the Mexicans were just bad at drawing maps.
What?
Oh, is this a YouTube video about the Figueroa thing? Is that different
Yes.
Mexican?
No,
this?
it's-
like, oh, there's this Mexican going in the ocean, like stopping a different island.
Wait, you think-
pointing at
Wait, Andres, are you saying that because of my Figueroa prostitute algorithm that I'm seeing misinformation about islands on maps?
or
I
any
think
other thing?
You may be right.
Fancy, this segment here is called Whine About It. Anything that you want to whine about the movie, just even the struggle, how it was made, or how movies are made in general, or adjacent to Reservoir Dogs, Tarantino, whatever it may be. But your time to gripe about something about the process or whatever, or there might not be, but this is
So I'll tell you an interesting story that has to do with Tarantino fired one of the actors, and then the studio had to come to intervene.
I didn't know this.
So Lawrence Tierney, I think is his last name.
Mm-hmm.
I might be butchering it. He plays Joe, the mob boss, right?
Yep.
In real life, he has been to jail many times. The same happens with the other guy who plays Mr. Brown. He also was a criminal.
Oh, Mr. Blue.
Mr. Blue.
Mr. Blue, yeah.
Who was also in.
I've been to jail twice.
Didn't he pull a gun on his nephew or cousin or something like that?
I heard that. I heard
Tarantino
something.
had to-
Yeah.
I- Yeah, what I read about and Tarantino talks about is like he would get in trouble during the shoot, and he was also very problematic on set. So he actually had to they brawl on set, and he fired him, and everybody was cheering about it, and then they had to kind of like.
Oh, wow.
How do you already shot half of the movie?
Yeah. Wow, they hated him that much.
That much.
He must
that
have
much.
been
Because
brutal.
I imagine the rest of the people being like, it feels like the type of movie where like everybody is together in it, in the trenches, kind of like we're making this together.
Yeah.
But
Maybe when they was reading their lines against Joe, they was being real. Fuck this movie.
but I think this movie is one of those that is difficult. I think it's one of those like darling magical stories where everything goes right for the people. It maybe took a long time to get made, but it does feel like from the moment it was conceived, like all the things align, that we got it to the right people. It, he became like a sensation from day one, right? Anyone, he could have had anyone for Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
You got the biggest stars of the moment in 90, right? Bruce Willis was the biggest person ever you can go
to Europe for the first time.
Right.
After Reservoir Dogs, and that's why they talk
about Amsterdam and all of that. But the idea of like, okay, he made a career out of this. He became a star himself. Well, usually directors are not stars, but he became a star.
Oh yeah. Oh, he's for sure a personality. Or some directors are like, you don't even know what they look like.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I think it's my only whining is like I wish that sort of like magical alignment would happen to me.
Yeah, because the struggle of financing a movie, getting the problems that movie's gonna have.
And making any movies, and I made a few. Like making a bad movie is really difficult. Making a good movie is almost impossible.
But Andres,
and then making a movie like this that is gonna the redefined movie making. It's incredible. And I think like because he's such a good writer, he is so influential as a writer, right? Like he was nominated 3 or 4 times as best writer. I think he won 3 times an Oscar. He won definitely for Pulp Fiction and Inglourious Basterds, and I think he might have won for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I'm not sure. But he has 2 or 3 Oscars, right? But as a director, because he's so influential as a writer, I think as a director he's a little bit overlooked. Yeah, and he doesn't have that Oscar, or he doesn't have that recognition. Yeah. He's not best director. Well, I think both his writing and directing are at the same level. He is a fabulous director.
Do you think that hurts him? Do you think that hurts him that he's like, God,
I don't know, because
I don't know if he cares anymore. That's how I would. Yeah.
I think he has older. It all. I think
he's older now,
and I think he is considered an auteur, which is what he wanted to be. He
doesn't even live in America anymore.
Yeah, he lives.
Where does he live?
He lives in Israel. He married an Israelian. So he lives
an alien.
An alien.
Alien Jews
between Tel Aviv and LA.
What's crazy is when you think about Once Upon a Time
in Hollywood,
and then you think about that, the factual information of that. It's like California has this weird, this whole Hollywood, Los Angeles got like these weird, famous, creepy houses. You got the Menendez brothers in Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
You got the Cole Simpson and them.
Yeah.
You got this Helter Skelter with the Once Upon a Time. Yeah, you got that. And then
Manson.
There's one in Los Feliz.
What's his name? The brother who got killed in the Hulk, that plays the Hulk. That plays David Banner. Mark Ruffalo. His brother was killed over in Beverly Hills.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. It's like you got these weird houses and areas. That's kind of infamous. I thought that was pretty infamous. Like, I was wrong.
Yeah.
I think a place that is centered around like entertainment or any sort of big business where there's money and what's up?
You won't believe it.
What? I thought you saw a black hole or something.
Yeah.
But I found out through another comedian that we ain't gonna say name, but this one has passed away. So Brian Moreno was involved with something dealing with Mark Ruffalo's brother getting killed. Brian Moreno, the comedian we knew, that was doing the shows. We'll talk about it. I'll show you later. But that's fucking wild. I just thought about it. I said, oh shit, that's right. But that's what made it.
We would have a connection to a murder.
Hey man, I know you too. You know.
I said we.
You said we. I thought you said.
What did you go to jail for? You said you mentioned you went.
I've been twice.
Why?
Grand theft and.
No.
Yeah.
Really?
What and what else?
Possession of a controlled substance.
Wow. Well, good possession. I understand that.
But grand theft.
Any Thursday for you, but
it's just Thursday. Andres, I do need to tell you it's Wednesday. Right
any Wednesday.
Like he's been gone a long time, man.
Yeah,
time is gone. Like you don't.
It's a flat circle.
Time is a flat circle. Here we are. We're repeating the same thing over again on this island.
Oh wow!
Forever.
Wait, check your clock. So the hand's moving.
It's not. I don't know.
Oh, that'd be funny. Like we're on some weird thing on the equator. On the island where like time
stands still.
Bermuda
What on the
Triangle.
other side? There's like Japanese soldiers from World War II still fighting. That's pretty funny too. We can pretend like World War II.
I don't know if that's funny, but it is interesting.
They still think World War II is going on. We're like, oh yeah, it is. And we're Nazis. Be nice to us.
Except me.
Carlos, what's your whine about the movie?
My whine about it. It's a simple one, and it's one that's not even really a whine, but it's more that I'm frustrated that I don't know the ending. There's the ending where Harvey Keitel, where the cops come in, and you don't know what happens to Tim Roth or Harvey Keitel. I have my theories about it. Like,
what do you mean you don't know? You do. It is.
Well, they don't show you explicitly.
Nobody. You hear a gunshot, and then suddenly a fire squad shoots, and a person who's in frame gets like pulled.
But then why is it controversial then? Why is it like in all these books that like people don't know?
I don't know. I think it's pretty clear that he, with
that Tim Roth gets killed and then he gets killed.
Right.
That's what, but it's because of the gunshots. They're not distinctive enough.
Exactly.
True, but it is like in the narrative, it is clear that. So Harvey Keitel, so Mr. White is at that point where he betrayed all his friends for this guy.
Yeah.
And this guy, and then he's saying like, it looks we're gonna do some time. And at that point, like, I don't know why Tim Roth's character decides to
That's the
say,
man.
It's crazy.
Yeah, why?
That's
like, he feels bad. He's about to die. I don't know. He needs confession. He said like, I'm a cop. And at that point, the other guy is like,
I have a very hot take. I don't think jail's that bad. Like,
this is prison. They will go to prison.
Yeah, but if I get caught, I'm like, all right, I'll go hang with the guys.
Nah.
No,
I don't think you've been to real prison.
yeah.
Even the county jail, you want to be in some of them.
Remember what Nice Guy Eddie said about that black semen?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
gonna be you, man.
But some people, exactly.
Well, it depends
Some
on where
people
you
are
are.
into it.
Well, it depends on where you are. Yeah, kind of. Because when I got locked up in county jail for violence, let's just say, I was in. They had me in Max, so there was Super Max. Where
You
do
were in
24 of
maximum?
yeah,
In
so-
Mad Max.
No, it's because in Michigan, the particular one I was in, rather, it was Supermax and Max for the jail.
Yeah.
So Supermax was people that can only come out 1 hour, and then they get 3-hour lockdown.
Yeah.
Max was like you could come out to eat only, and then the rest of the time I'm in.
That's
my
how I
cell.
live normally.
Yeah,
You live
but,
in Max.
Yeah,
but there's no TV.
No dogs.
Dog,
in
I
Max.
just think you and I would have a good time in jail together.
Carlos, you just stream Max. You're not in Max.
We would play basketball and
Bad
fist
joke.
bump. No, that is.
Oh, prison. Prison, yeah, because it's not.
We could do SOS. From
I've never
there.
been in prison. Yeah,
Yet.
I've been in jail, not prison.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, shit.
jail
I ain't
for
trying
me.
to. They just throw me in there because I'm black. It'd be funny if the
That's
cops just came
what
in
I
here and
said,
be like,
too.
"You're under arrest. It's prison time. Man, get the fuck." I'll fight the motherfuckers. But can I talk about my wire?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. We don't talk about
It's
jail.
exactly what the fuck y'all was talking about. That sequence from Jonah all the way through. and
Jonah
it was,
Hill.
Not Jonah.
Chris Penn.
Chris Penn.
Yeah.
That whole thing from that all the way down, it's like, what the fuck? And that, him confessing, is so ridiculously unreal. It makes you angry. I said, what cop? I don't give a fuck. He's not going to be like, wait, he took up for me. You know what, buddy? I'm a cop. What? And he got a pistol, and you see him with the pistol. It don't even make sense, that part.
They do become intertwined a little too fast, like you're saying. Like they wouldn't stick up for. Like
Yeah. But by you being a cop, period, you're not gonna get too close. There is a time frame where if you may get, but because that can happen. Like you ever see where I was watching a hitman talk from the Italian mafia, and he was saying how like he got so cool with him that at the point where he had to kill him, he was like, God damn.
Yeah.
And then he killed him. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that, but that one point where you got to stay.
God, I would love to be a.
Yeah, and I don't think a police officer would ever do what he did, and it made me so angry. I said, man, fuck, a police officer would never do some shit like that. Put his own life in danger where I talk about something. I'm a cop. I'm sorry, buddy. I'm sorry. He just killed a fucking cop earlier, like 3 of them, and you it doesn't even make sense.
Yeah.
You understand?
That's what we're in movie land, I think.
Yeah, well,
No. I mean,
hated that ending.
No, I get it. I completely get it. But
What the fuck?
I'm gonna defend it for a reason, not for. I think logically, you guys are right. That's why it's one of those moments that it wouldn't happen in real life. Because he got to, he's hearing the sirens, right? Like he's gonna get rescued. The other guy has, it's fine. He can leave.
Right.
And by confessing, he knows that this is, he's not gonna leave, right? Like he's
Like
So-
he's
So he's gonna die anyway.
yeah. So I feel like maybe is that like in narrative land, right? Like the characters got to that point, and now like that betrayal is so real that it emotionally it makes sense to get there with the characters. It'll be way more lame that okay, they're going to prison. That is not an ending.
Also, the cop might be go to prison because he killed the woman
Yeah, but
by a civilian.
No, he wouldn't go. He wouldn't went to prison.
in
Actually,
real
you know
life,
what?
no.
You're right. It's
In
the
real
90s.
life, that happens
Tough
every day.
gunshot, too.
It's the 90s. That's
She
just,
drew.
So mad if she shot me. I would have shot
Right,
her
that's
right in
what
the
he-
head.
And what if she would have just came from a bank robbery? That would have been fucking cool.
Like, you look at the back.
Yeah.
It's
She
the-
just put her shit out. Man, fucking motherfucker, you never take me alive. Got a
that would
fucking
never happen.
body in the back with 30 grand in her little glove compartment. No?
Imagine you steal a car and you get the one white bitch in LA with a gun. So mad. I'd be like,
God damn.
and he is visibly pissed. He's like, I can't fucking believe this.
Yes,
be so mad.
You see a lot of a range of emotions because
Yeah.
he regrets at the moment, but it's like he's pissed off and it's
Yeah, like how could this happen to me? I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm in. Like, this person.
I would have
could
done the
been-
extra bullet thing like in Deadpool. Shot her extra times.
Bitch, you shouldn't have made me.
What about you? What's your wine? Pete?
My wine is for the producer that was going to finance the film and give. I think he was going to give like over $1 million, but he wanted his girlfriend to play Mr. Blonde or Mrs. Blonde or whatever.
Yeah.
So funny.
Such a
Producer is trying to get laid. Like, that's classic.
And that's how movies get made.
yeah, because it's like, oh shit, we need the financing. It's like, God, we got to change the script.
That's like
but
if I was the producer. Like, that's so ridiculous.
yeah, but imagine if they caved, right? Of like, oh, we really want to make this, but holding on to that integrity of the script, like,
Well, I would have caved immediately. Fine.
well, yeah, but most people do because hey, at least we can get it made. It's one little tweak, and maybe we could work it, make
Yeah.
it. We're clever enough, we're smart enough, like,
But the girlfriend? No way.
yeah.
Oh, you were probably dating. Probably none of them knew who she was. He probably.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, I think he made audition everybody, even if everybody was someone. He have Harvey Keitel, right? That he had
Oh
a
yeah,
big actor behind, but he made audition everybody.
Yeah.
They were like, no, we're not auditioning. No, you are.
You know what that's called? Pussy whipped.
That's true, Doc.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
fucking pussy whipped to go. You know
That's
what?
right. She's
$1
like,
million, like,
oh, I want to
for
be in
one
the
shit?
movie, baby. It's like, bitch, no, not now. We're watching
Yeah.
Entertainment Tonight.
It's like you're stepping on my toes now.
Yeah.
Not
Would you-
sure.
imagine it. Imagine if it was like, was it the girl?
3,000 or something.
Imagine, is it the girl asking, or was it like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, which way it was like, give me a part in the movie. I want to play the bad guy.
You know it wasn't him.
Yeah.
It had to be her. It
Yeah.
had to be. I want to be in this film, and if you don't get me in this film, no more Gawk 3000 for you.
Wait, explain what that is, please.
no more blowjobs. Sorry. Sorry, Your Highness.
That's why-
Will.
Hey, it's not. It's all.
That's why, like, I think we are the Reservoir Dogs. of
Yeah.
podcast.
But it's no longer about the gawk. It's about the Hawktua.
The Hawktua.
Oh, yeah.
That's
We
the
don't want to
new
know. We don't want to know.
Hawktua.
I saw a little piece of something, but I didn't get to find out what it meant.
Now, this
Somebody
is
was
Just a
talking-
girl in Nashville pulled on off the street and she made like a blowjob joke. And apparently she lost her job the next day. She was a teacher and she was just drunk with her friends on the street doing a man on the street thing. And she didn't know it would go viral. And it's like ruined her life. And
See,
like,
man, that's the thing, man. Privacy. You should be able to say some shit to your friends and family and not get fired for it.
yeah, let us say,
It's a-
yeah, no, I won't do it.
Hey, and
Yeah.
like, what is that going to do for the kids? Like, we'll never respect. No,
Yeah,
They-
I feel bad for her.
I feel bad for it too.
Yeah.
This is going to come out in 2 weeks, by the way, so it's probably going to be old.
I know. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but anyways, favorite scenes of the movie.
My favorite scene is the rooftop learning the lines, the joke scene. I just love how it takes you out of the normalcy of the movie. Like you're already established like in the world of the movie and all of a sudden you're like back in time. I just love that.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, and I like the story of the Tim Roth story, the undercover cop story. Or when he's like in the bathroom, like I like the dogs. It's all slow motion.
Actually filming the story as he's.
It's just so beautiful.
Visualization of the.
Yeah.
And it feels like, I don't know, like, oh, they're giving like so much life to this small story, but they don't give life to other things. So it felt very important in that way. Like, I don't know. I know it's an independent movie.
It gave it weight, that story. Yeah.
I loved
It's
it.
like that's how he was different
wait.
than any other undercover cop. He could do the, he could.
Like he lived it.
He lived that
Reservoir
story.
Dogs was an independent film at first.
Reservoir Dogs? Yeah, I mean, I would call it a
It's
super
independent.
indie.
Oh, yeah.
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 So the problem with the definition of an independent movie is
in the 90s.
It's a movie made without a studio behind you.
Oh.
So there's a lot of movies that now I think independent movies means more like a smaller movie, lower budget, more like a sensibility. But yeah, in this case was both. He made it with a private investor. He didn't have distribution. He went to a film festival and that's how he got distributed. So the textbook indie movie, Sundance in the 90s is that.
The way movies, at least from what I know, is the way movies were made then is they would take like the money accepted to finance the film was very strictly like studios. Like private investors weren't a big thing. Like even Oliver Stone, I think, was like made fun of for taking money from private investors in Europe and Asia. And now that's basically how you make big movies, is you get investors from Europe and Asia.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's always the Wall Street branch of a studio that finances the studio operation, But yeah, in the indie movies is like, an anti-Hollywood or like an against the mainstream sensibility.
A little bit more power.
More artistic, more like auteur or whatever.
Right.
But it really means like, The English Patient was an independent movie. It was a $25 million movie. So people wouldn't consider that an independent movie, but it was made outside the system.
Okay. That's a clear definition of what it is, but where we kind of define it in terms of high budget, low budget.
Right, exactly. Right. Like more like, guerrilla style filmmaking versus like a polished, a Spielberg, George Lucas movie. Yeah.
What's your favorite scene, Andres?
To me, no doubt, Stuck in the Middle with You. I think that's the best scene in the movie. Now, I think the narration is incredible. I think that's what makes this movie key. But in terms of like a visual moment that is like, it stays with me forever, it will be that scene. Thing is, the character so alive and so interesting, the music amazing, and then that decision of like not showing the violence. But that it's brutal, but you don't see it. I think it's beautifully done.
Oh yeah, and it's scary because you're like, this guy is and if he's dancing, he's comfortable with his torture.
Right.
He's having fun.
And everything about it, he goes outside and we follow him outside and the music cuts. He comes back with the gasoline, like the suspense, all of that whole scene, I think is
absolutely
an amazing scene.
Yeah. Doc, what about you? Favorite scene?
Mine was when Tim Rothman was doing the scene and he was doing the whole story and he's in the bathroom with the police, and the way that it's the camera angles that they were capturing and the moments they were capturing. From him when he was at the dryer, when he walks over to the hand dryer and he taps the button, and then it's like that. It's that eerie, and then they do a close up shot on each individual police officer, and they disgruntled looks like, he just turned this fucking thing on in the middle of our
Yeah.
Like, but
which is more like capturing what he's thinking.
What he's thinking and capturing the moment of him committing to what he was and who he was in his role. So like, it was like fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
I really liked that moment.
It builds
the dog and all that shit was like, fucking.
It builds tension in a fake story that you don't even hear him telling anymore. It's like, you just feel the tension now.
It's a great scene too. Yeah.
My favorite scene, it's the torture scene. And Harvey Keitel wanted it cut, actually.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah, he was like, this is too much. And a lot of people, I think it was who walked out when they saw the scene. Wes Craven and Rick Baker, who we talked about on Coming to America. Rick Baker was the makeup artist.
Yeah, the lore. I think the lore of the kind of mythological part of this movie is that at Sitges, which is a big horror film like festival, Wes Craven walk out.
Yeah.
And people think that it's, I think Tarantino telling the story.
Oh, okay.
Make it bigger.
Yeah. But it sounds like something he would.
It looks like there's like walkouts. That there was, that this movie was too violent for that time frame. Like today it'll be like, this is nothing. This is, PG-13 TV.
Yeah, and that scene where Michael Madsen, where the cop is saying "I have kids" was improvised, and Michael Madsen was so affected by that he almost couldn't finish the scene. That was improvised. They left that take in, but he was able to finish the scene. But that affected him because he was a new father. So it's weird that Michael Madsen, this powerful villainous character, would be the real life person that he is. It's like, oh man, this is too much, even for him.
Because actors are very empathetic beings, that's their superpowers, that they can take on all these energies and mold themselves. So it's interesting,
So last thing is, if anybody hasn't seen Reservoir Dogs, why should they watch? Why should they rewatch Reservoir Dogs?
I mean, it's the OG Tarantino.
Yep.
Like, if you want, you can see all the influences of your favorite movies in this one. It's like going to a quick film school watching Reservoir Dogs, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I think it's an absolute must watch for anyone who likes any sort of movie, really. So, yeah.
I mean, I think every decade has a director or two or a filmmaker or two that define that time period. And if I don't know if the 70s is those film brads that we talk about, and the 80s is the Spielberg world, when Scorsese, the 90s I think is Tarantino. I think it's David Fincher too, comes in the 90s. Late 90s maybe
95 was
Nolan.
7, 99 was Fight Club.
Right. So I think he's the other superstar director from that time. But I think in terms of how movies change, I think Tarantino is the perfect blend, and how I feel like after him, there's a before Tarantino and after Tarantino, there's an adjective to define things that is like the Tarantino-esque, right? He holds so much power.
That's when you know. That's when you know when you have that. Where there's, you got the Kafka-esque and you got the Tarantino-esque.
Right, and you have the Spielbergian, thing. There's certain artists that have such a defined point of view and style and things like that. And he had it from the first movie, which I think is incredible. I think people get there eventually. Usually artists have a progression. I think his first movie was a fist to your face. It was like, look what I can do. And then he was able to refine that and make it different and more whatever. But I think from the get-go, it's like, look what I can write and how I can use the camera and how my actors, I think it's incredible. Must watch to understand culture, pop cultures in the US, filmmaking in general.
Yeah. Doc, what about you?
I think you should watch it just based on to see the intellectual thought behind his whole system of making a movie, seeing the decision making, and to be able to stick to his guns and do that. When you watch the movie, it kind of gives you the idea of not just being yourself, but also not being afraid to take chances. So when you watch this film, that's why you will watch it. You will watch it to see the chances that he took, to see the game changer like you just spoke of, because all that is what makes a person stand out more than anybody else, is the one that can be themselves in whatever they do and stick to that. The truest art is when you're true to yourself. So that's why you watch it.
Well, hey, Fancy.
$5 for the...
I don't tip.
Fancy, thank you for coming back. I know you washed up on shore. You didn't really have a choice because we dragged you here, and we did drug you.
Things have changed.
I think that's why he's so jovial right now.
I feel like I'll check my kidneys after this.
Yeah, you should. We emptied some sort of vial system into the beach so that anyone that washes up on shore is a little bit drugged.
Yeah, I can see the influence.
But feel free to wash up on shore anytime.
Yeah, I'd love to come back.
You get ready.
Thank you guys for having me, and then see you guys soon.
Yeah.
Yep, you got it.
Bye, guys.
Bye. See you next week. Love you.